by now many of you have the Drowned, and I'm sure you've taken it out and played with it for a while, and just as I am doing so right now. But I already can see that the figure needs a few alterations as far as the paint, and it definitely needs touch upon that helmet, the hair, the legs. This is a really nice figure. There's a lot of detail here that is being missed by not having those paint apps. And just by having these small paint apps that you're going to see on the video, it's going to make a whole lot of difference. We're going to add it also to the vest, this green skirt made from algae or seaweed. We're going to add a few more green tones to give it some more depth. And of course, we're also going to add some more depth to the sleeves and the vest. So the next step is, well, let's proceed to take it apart. Let's get going. So let's proceed with taking one piece at a time, starting with the head and next the arm. And no, I did not heat this up and I did not put it in hot water. I just went ahead and started ripping limbs. Fortunately, this one was very simple to take apart. It wasn't very difficult. And as you can see, you still have to be careful, regardless if you had it in hot water or if you heated it with a hairdryer. Peeling away the vest is just glued on the shoulders. It actually pulls away as soon as I put some force on it. But let's go ahead and start with removing the legs by separating it from the peg at the bottom with a flat screwdriver. Just a little bit of force, and we'll go ahead and pop this one off. The other one did require a bit more force. It was on much tighter, and that skirt, the way it's designed, didn't let it move out further. So this one took a bit more work, but yes, eventually we did remove that. You'll see that in just a moment. And I am doing the voiceover because I did record this also in Spanish, so I wanted to have enough footage to be able to voice over it in English as well. So let's go on to our next step. So our next step is to use our liquid masking, and we are going to mask out with this liquid mask the lips or the mouth area, and we just want to paint it on nice and thick so that when we do any painting to the actual skin tone or any dry brushing to the helmet, if we go overboard, we don't get any paint onto the teeth, the lips, or the eye, or that monocle that is on the other eye, the lens. We don't want to ruin anything else on there with any of the paint that we don't need. So once it dries clear. The thicker parts of it will probably have a tinge of green. That way you'll be able to identify where the masking is once it's dry. And it just rubs off as if it were rubber cement. And so it's a very clean and easy removal, and it leaves a clean line behind, so it gives you a nice clean product. While the liquid mask dries, we're going to add graphite to a few other parts of the figure, and that is going to be the arms and the boots, as you see on the right side there. So it is very messy. So make sure you put down a wet paper towel over your work surface so that you can have an easy cleanup. So let me bring the camera a bit closer, and I want you to see how the texture picks up the light after you add the graphite. It totally changes the look of the texture. It picks up the light better. It makes it look like it's an actual piece of leather. It actually looks wet, as if she were still underwater. So in any case, we're going ahead and do this to all 4 limbs, and only the boots, not the actual thighs on the leg. We only want to pick up the texture. Now once all of them are hit with the graphite, then we're going to come back and we're going to bring in the semi-clear coat from Model Masters to put over this, at least 2 layers of it. In any case, let me speed up the camera because I don't want to bore you with the rest of the process. Well, here we are. Now we've got our semi-clear coat from Model Masters. Now we're going to brush this on. Why? Because my airbrush is broken down at the moment. So we're going to brush it on. We're going to bring it on thick. It doesn't matter because it does dry clear, and the thicker it is, it just gives you a more protection. But at the same time, you want to be careful how much we brush it because we don't want to take off all of the graphite. And we want to only brush it on the areas that have the graphite, not on the rest. So we don't want to transfer any graphite to any other parts of the limb that does not have, well, for one, it doesn't have masking, and the other, it's not going to have that same texture or color. So just carefully add it to the portions where you have graphite, set it aside, and as soon as these are all applied with the clear coat, we're just going to let them dry. It usually takes maybe 10-15 minutes. You could probably speed up the process if you hit it with a hair dryer. I'm just going to let them dry off at room temperature while I am working on another part of the figure. But let me speed up the process here, so let's get rolling. So while the graphite dries, we're going to add a few details to the face. And since we've covered part of the face with the liquid mask, we won't have to worry too much about getting paint in any of those areas because they're going to be protected. So we're just going to add a little bit of detail to the scar. Just bear with me, it's really hard to work with a brush underneath a camera lens as it is hard to see what's there. Now if you have too much water, it's obviously going to beat up on you, and because it is acrylic, you do have to build up that layer. So it's going to take a couple of tries to get it right. A wet paper towel or cloth is going to help you to make an easy cleanup. And of course a second brush to pick up the excess if you need to. But let me go ahead and speed up the process again on this. You can see the finished product toward the end. one of the paint apps that we need here is a little bit of dry brushing, and dry brushing, it just means that getting the brush as dry as possible, loading it with as little paint as possible, just so that it transfers an effect of just bringing up the texture on the object. In this case, we want to give it a look of a actual leather helmet. And as you can see, I still have the brush too wet. So because it is acrylic, again, it is going to take a few tries to build up that layer. So I might have to just start over and clean it up. But at least you're seeing my my trials and my mistakes as well too. Because it is an acrylic and it's water-based, it's an easy cleanup. I can always start again by cleaning it up with a wet paper towel. But little by little, the color builds up. And in any case, any of these textures or colors do darken down over time, so you sometimes want to come back and hit it a second time to make sure it has enough color if it does dry down. And now the X's that you see on top of the head, we'll just clean that up with a wet paper towel so that we can only apply it to the areas we need. But as you can see, because we covered the eye and the lips, we won't have to worry about going over those with the paintbrush because we have those protected with the liquid mask. So that's one of the key reasons why the liquid mask is so important. So now that we have that taken care of, let's go in and hit with the black on the black straps, or what I consider are going to be the black straps, holding down that monocle on her, I guess it's a cowl, not really a helmet. So that's going to give us the detail that we need going around the cowl to give it some more texture. So let's start very lightly from one end and working all the way around with a fine tip brush. And as you can see, it's definitely not the same brush that I used on the other part of the video. But let's go ahead and see what this looks like. Así es que ahora vamos a comenzar con well, here's another detail that we don't want to miss, and that's the hair.
Como ya han visto,
Again,
sí tiene un color el pelo. Sin embargo, no es lo suficiente.
As much paint as we need,
tienes que verlo muy de cerca la pieza para mirar los tonos de
we want to go
los
against
colores
the
en el
grain.
pelo.
We only
Aquí
want
puedes
to
ver un
bring up
poco,
what's
pero vamos a
there
añadir
and
este
highlight
color verde
the hair.
adicional
There's
sobre el
already
mismo
a
pelo.
tinge of
Como te
dry brushing
mencioné
effect that they did
anteriormente,
to it,
es
but in my
una brocha
opinion, it
casi
still
seca y
wasn't enough.
solamente la
It
estás
needed that
arrastrando
much more
sobre la
to really bring
superficie
out all
en
of the
contra
detail.
de
So
la
working on the
textura.
outside
No
and
vayas
on the
con la
inside.
textura.
And let's go ahead and speed up the camera to let you see the work in progress.
Queremos solamente el relieve y solamente queremos dar la apariencia de que realmente su color de pelo es verde oscuro con unos colores que brillan por la iluminación que entra al agua. Ahora vamos a hacer esto aquí y también a la falda. Vamos a avanzar la cámara para que puedas ver el resultado.
take some of that same green that we applied to the hair and we're going to apply it only to the texture by using that dry brush technique on the boots. Now the graphite is still going to show through, it's still going to pick up the light because it's only going to be applying it, the green to the texture. It's going to look really, really cool, the end product. Once you see it lit in the final scene, you'll definitely be able to tell the difference from with it and without it. And if you've got the figure in hand, then you know what a difference this is going to make on the end product. So let me show you what it looks like, not only here, because we're also going to apply it to the vest and the sleeves as well. So let's get going. So while those 4 pieces dry, I'm going to go ahead and show you what I did with the skirt, because it is made up of seaweed. It does already have its own color, but we want to hit it with a lighter color to bring up some highlights on the texture. We want to have a different tone of green to give it more depth. In the end, we're going to hit it with some darker green, maybe a black, I should say a dark green instead of black. But we want to add that to the details in the crevices to give it even more depth. That way it looks more three-dimensional instead of just a single solid color. So we're also going to take some of this green and we're just going to clean it off on the towel, and we're going to add a very, very light dry brush to the vest. Because it does have some very, very fine detail, we don't want to overload it with any paint. We just want to have just enough texture there to see the folds and the wrinkles. And then we'll come back and hit that with a different tonal brown to even have some more wear and tear on the vest. But we're also going to add this green to the arms, because the arms are the sleeves on this vest. So we want to have a match, and we want to have the same look. So it's got to be the same dry brushing with the same tonal value, so that it looks like it's one piece. And we'll hit the gloves also as well. So let me speed up the process for you. And this is pretty much it. I'm just finishing off cleaning the brush by getting all of the varnish, or I should say the clear coat, off of the brush. I've already applied 2 coats. You can see it's still wet on the vest. I've already hit each piece with 2 coats of clear coat, and I'm just cleaning off the brush here. But the end result is in the next segment. I want you to see what it looks like all put together. It really takes on a whole different appearance. If you like the video, subscribe, share it, and rewatch it if you want. Go back to a few segments that you didn't understand. Any questions, let me know. Enjoy your customizing.